Hello everybody, welcome to Ship Nuggets. My name is Omo Imokwede. So happy for you to join us today to Ship Nuggets. Ship Nuggets is your one-stop shop where you learn about leadership, followership, relationships, mentorships, stewardship, entrepreneurship, and worship. And it's just a forum where we learn about these different ships that we can use to ride into success in our lives. So I've been talking about leadership, and I've actually been having a lot of fun talking about leadership. Like I said, leadership is a ship that a lot of us want to get into, but many times we don't want to do what is needed to be successful in that area. And so today I want to talk about some types of leadership, because there are different types of leadership. Just like you have good people and bad people, you have good leaders and you have bad leaders. And I'm just going to be talking about the different types of leaderships that are out there, specifically transformational leadership. I'm going to be talking about how to be a transformational leader. How can you be that leader that's able to transform your organization? Perhaps you're running an organization where there's a lot of turnover. You're running an organization where your employees are not happy or where people are not motivated. How can you change the culture? How can you transform that environment that's negative and that's not really going in the direction that you want them to go to where they need to be? How do you channel that cause? And so I'm going to talk about being a transformational leader. Now, before I go into the meat and potatoes of that, I want to just simply say that as leaders, you have to constantly be figuring out, how can I improve myself? How can I grow myself? And one of the videos I'm going to do is on self-leadership, things that a leader has to do to kind of grow themselves and their organization. Now, as a leader, you must not be comfortable with status quo. I think one of the challenges I've seen that leaders have, especially leaders who have been leading a particular organization for a long time, is just the comfort with the status quo. We've done it this way for the last 10 years, and so that's how it's going to be. No, life is all about changes, and as a leader, you have to really, really look at your organization from a standpoint of change and say, well, do I want to just be like everybody else? Do I want to just, just stay where I'm at, or do I want to grow in my leadership abilities? And tied to that is this desire, or this, how will I put it now? Just this sense of, I need to constantly be growing in my leadership. Now, I talked about power, the last video, expertise power. I find that a lot of leaders are very good, they're experts at what they do, but they've not still developed leadership. You know, they have expertise, but they don't have leadership skills and ability. And that's because they're not expanding their minds. That's because they're not training themselves. That's because they're not engaging in different behaviors that will enhance their leadership. So what am I saying? As leaders, you have to read a lot. You have to read books. You know, great leaders are great readers. You have to constantly be reading books, not just on your expertise, not just on your area of expertise, but on leadership, so you can learn how to lead people. And there are a couple of good books. John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws on Leadership. I'm going to be posting a link on just some good leadership books that you can read. Curvey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a great book on self-leadership that you can read and you can enjoy to improve your leadership. Yuko's book on leadership is phenomenal. Those are Not House book on leadership is amazing if you want like a full detail historical play-by-play on leadership. All these books are out there and available. Many books on leadership exist. All right, so having said that, how can I be a transformational leader? Now, in the 70s, I believe, some scientists came and began to study different characteristics of leaders to find out what makes a leader transformational. Now, what I found also from all these studies is that in talking about the types of leadership, there's usually an overlap in terms of behavior in terms of in terms of the characteristics of leaders. For example, servant leaders have been said by the social scientists have been said to exhibit visionary abilities or visionary skills or visionary behaviors. The same is also applicable to transformational leaders. I think there's this overlap, and I just wanted to say that sometimes you could hear someone talk about transformational leader and think they're talking about a servant leader, and sometimes you can hear someone talking about a servant leader and think they're talking about a spiritual leader. There's usually an overlap. That's just what I'm trying to say. But in terms of the type of leadership that exists, there are a lot of them. There's servant leadership by Greenleaf. There is transformational leadership by Abbas and Avolio. There is spiritual leadership by Fry. There you have entrepreneurial leadership. You have visionary leadership. Then I've talked about transformational leadership. There's transactional leadership. There's laissez-faire leadership. There's participatory leadership. There are different types of leadership that it will take me forever if I had to condense and break them down. But this particular leadership I want to talk about, leadership style that I want to talk about, transformational leadership, is very, very important. So how do you transform your organization from that downtrodden organization where people are just lack motivation and are willing to move? So they studied, Baz and Volio studied just some characteristics, and they said that a transformational leader does 4 things. Engages in what is called inspirational motivation. Inspirational motivation. So this leader is able to cast a vision. Anytime you find out that there is low morale within your organization, that's the best time as a leader to recast your vision. You must have that inspirational motivation. Motivate those that follow you by the clarity of the vision that you cast. How many times do I need to cast a vision? You have to keep casting it until all your employees and followers catch it. They must be able to recite, they must be able to say, they must be able to exemplify the vision that you've cast over time. So transformational leaders inspire people, motivate people by casting a vision, inspirational motivation. Then there's what is called intellectual stimulation. You stimulate your followers. You're challenging them to move beyond the status quo. You're finding out about their personal development. How are you doing? What are you doing? You want to go back to school? How can we help you be the best you can ever be? I mean, genuinely inspiring and genuinely encouraging these people to move from point A to point B as they collectively come together to accomplish the organizational goals. Intellectual stimulation. Then the next one is individualized consideration. You have to treat every person within your circle. Obviously, as a CEO, as a leader, you may not have access, or you might have indirect leadership with some of your followers. In other words, you may not have direct access with certain people within your organization. You might have access to their bosses, you might have access to their bosses' bosses, but you may not have access to them. But as leaders, we must create an atmosphere where we are considerate of the people that we work with. They are not just hired hands. We have to see them as human beings with that have passions, human beings that have dreams. And what you want to do is align your dream with their dream so that you can accomplish the goal. So individualized consideration is highly essential. Then there's idealized influence. Idealized influence, where you are influencing them to move from one place to another. And the thing about influence comes through association. Influence comes through communication. Influence comes when there's value alignment. When my values align with your values as a follower, I'm bound to follow. You are bound to follow me, and I'm bound to follow you because our values align. We must constantly, move and motivate followers towards value alignment via communication, via visualization, via self-analysis. All these things are very, very vital and key. So, in a nutshell, How does one become a transformational leader? I'll go over it again. You have to be inspirational, motivate your folks, cast that vision, share the vision. Tell, look, this is where we're going. This is what will happen. Yes, even though it may not look good right now, even though you may feel down, but this is where we're going. This is why we're doing what we're doing. Next is intellectual stimulation. Where are you going? You show interest in your followers, show interest in their future, show interest in what they are doing, and then stimulate them, encourage them to take the next steps. The next is individualized consideration. Show love to them, show respect to them, consider them. Don't just they're not just hired hands. Look at them as human beings and people. And then the next is idealized influence. Influence them by communicating with them, by listening to them, and by helping them to see the big picture. When you do these things, you'll be able to move your organization from a low morale, low kind of participation or low effectiveness state to a state where everybody is coming along, everybody's catching the vision and they are working towards it. So I hope this video helps you and helps your leadership. I'll see you next time. Thank you.